Welcome back. It's the Give and Go, and it's the Asian Cup. I need every single one of you right now to click a thumbs up on this video, subscribe, and join the Give and Go community as we talk all things Asian Cup. Match day 12 started off with some Group B action with Australia versus Uzbekistan and India versus Syria. Let's key in on this Australia versus Uzbekistan game to start, though, with the Uzbeks playing up to the Australian level and finishing with a 1-1 draw against them.
Yeah, man. My eyes were actually glued to the Syria game, so I didn't catch a lot of this Uzbekistan-Australia match. From the get-go, I saw that Katanec changed a decent amount of players in the Uzbekistan lineup. There's no Sergeyev, no Masharipov. He went with a more busy midfield, I guess to just make sure that Australia weren't too comfortable in possession. Didn't really see how the game ultimately ended up panning out. I did see the big moments with Australia, getting that really interesting penalty to take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, man, and it kind of highlighted a whole day's worth of really interesting penalty calls with just some really, really soft handball calls. And I thought this one was very representative of that. I didn't like it. I don't like it. I'm starting to not like it. These calls just leave me with such a sour taste in my mouth. I didn't feel that Australia deserved a penalty opportunity off of the danger they were trying to create there. And so it was tough luck for Uzbekistan, but what's beautiful about this game is that even though they conceded there through a Martin Boyle penalty kick, Uzbekistan just kept their heads high and managed to stay in this game, ultimately tying it up in the second half from what I saw as well, because I was glued onto the Syria-India game too, with a beautiful header to make it 1-1. Uzbekistan showing that they can play up to this Australian level.
Yeah, 1-1. It's an interesting result, man, because going into it, we knew that Australia had been a little conservative in this tournament so far, but the talent is so high that they're not necessarily worried about the oppositions that they face unless they're playing like in Iran or Japan. And Uzbekistan have had a weird tournament, dude. And I thought they were going to be a lot more dynamic, but they've shown to be gritty at the very least. And I think this result definitely proved that. Uzbekistan can now go into the knockout stage with a little bit of hopes to at least say, all right, we can compete against the best in Asia. But I'll just be really curious to see how Uzbekistan go forward with their offense, especially if they face it against a really feisty team.
Yeah, they haven't been as electric as I thought they would be, or as exciting. But what's really nice about this team is that I've come to learn that they're very good at managing a full 90 minutes. And I think that goes far in Asia specifically because, sure, they go down in the first half, but then the second half, they were a completely new team. They were so motivated. They were so active in seeking out that game-tying goal, and they got it. And it just happened every single match. They have not lost yet at this tournament, so I still leave a little bit of room open for them to be able to capitalize and to show off that electricity that we're talking about. I think that might show itself in the knockout stages if they can achieve that maximum Uzbek potential. But for now, I think what they've done is good enough. Getting second place in this group with 5 points, while Australia finishes in first with 7 points.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Uzbekistan still have the potential to kind of beat anybody on any given day. As you said, their ability to manage over 90 minutes, I do think is actually their strong point. I thought it would be more so their electric offense, but it actually is that grit. Very similar to Australia, actually. So if Uzbekistan can go up against Australia, they can go up against anybody. I think just to make a deep, deep run and win knockout game after knockout game will be now a little bit tougher than I had imagined for Uzbekistan. But hey, the chance is there, so I'll be really curious to see who they end up facing in the knockout stage.
Yeah. Ultimate match rating, I'm going 6.5 on this one. 6.5, and actually I rated a lot of games today as a 6.5. This one was 6.5 with a really good goal from Uzbekistan, and then just back and forth action every so often. So 6.5.
Yeah, I'll join you right there. 6.5 for me too, man. Just from the goal action that I saw, it didn't seem like there was a lot going on there, but I guess a cage match in the midfield.
And it's clear that the game to watch at the beginning of this match day was India versus Syria. With India finally showing up for a match within the first half. You could tell these guys were motivated for this matchup. This is the one they circled when they got assigned this group, and when they saw who they were scheduled to face off against, you could see that it was Syria that they were most looking forward to facing off against and playing. And you could tell because the players were just so much more lively, man. They were so much more responsive defensively and even at times threatening in that first half, while Syria also sticking to their game plan and trying to seek out a result here because a win would almost secure them, almost guarantee them progress into the next round. A lot at stake in this match, and I just love that going into it within the first 10-15 minutes, you could tell both these teams were up for it.
Oh, yeah. I had to wake up real early for this game, 5:15 a.m. here in the morning. And as soon as this game started, my ass was perked up, dude. I was like, oh, okay.
Espresso.
Both of these teams were here to go for it. Specifically Syria, man, because from the get-go, they had a fierce intensity on the ball. And India, in their own right, were completely up for the challenge too, just on the defensive end. Looking at the whole game for 70 some odd minutes, it really was just one mode, a very frantic, frenetic game where Syria had a lot of the ball and they tried to attack India in as many ways as they could, but every single chance that Syria tried to craft, it was met with a really strong Indian defense. But what was so cool about this game is I just couldn't tell when the goal was going to come because they just couldn't get a series of really good chances. They were always somewhat of a quarter or half chance, but they always had the ball. But I just loved it, man. The energy, again, that frantic feel to this game made this 0-0 match really entertaining to see.
No, dude, you're right, because for those first 70 minutes, I really did feel like any team could score at any moment. And I was waiting to get that answer. Who's going to do it? Who's going to crack the deadlock here? Because are we going to end up getting a 0-0 result here, dude? Man? That would hurt so much to get after the game that we were given in the beginning. But ultimately, it was the Indian offense that showed itself out to be washed, and it was Syria that came through, breaking the deadlock with Girbin scoring a massive, massive goal in this game and in Syria's footballing history, securing them progress into the next round with a beautiful, beautiful touch in the box to get himself some space and finishing it really nice and low to the bottom left corner. Syria goes up 1-0, and it's absolute scenes.
Dude, crazy amount of ecstasy when could have been put in that goal for Syria to go up 1-0, knowing that they'd probably go into the next round. But that's what it took, dude. It took Omar Gurbin, Syria's best player over the last 15 years, to come off the bench and save the day. What a lovely strike, though. Completely deserved. I thought Syria were more on the front foot for the entire game anyway, so I think for them to go up 1-0 was justified, definitely. But just looking at the game as a whole, I think both teams pretty much played as best as they could. And I think it's very telling, right? Because India, when you look at the game that they played today, very organized at the back, incredibly strong defensively. Jingan, who unfortunately got injured at the second half, Subhashish, and their goalkeeper, Gurpreet. Dude, I thought they were fantastic today. The goalkeeper didn't make a foot wrong. Yeah. And again, the one-on-one defending of Subhashish and Jingan were phenomenal. They're so good defensively, but when you go to the upper part of this Indian squad, it's a bit disjointed in the attack, and hence why they were unable to score a single goal in this tournament. So I think the game that India gave us today is very telling of who they are right now. There's a good backbone defensively. They just need to figure out their offense, man. Yeah. And then for Syria, well, they've had 3 really good games, I think, in this tournament. They've played pretty much the exact same in every single game. And it's just a team that is so confident, so comfortable on the defensive end. And then, honestly, pretty good in midfield. Good at holding the ball when they need to. And pretty decent in build-up. The only thing they do struggle with, though, is converting their chances, man. Syria they just don't really have goal scorers.
Yeah. No, I think for India, I just leave this tournament so bummed that they didn't even get one goal, one moment to celebrate a goal. I think, like you said, what they need to focus on going into the future for them is developing their offense. Offloading Sunil Chetri, the all-time great, offloading him, retiring him if needed, but starting to look elsewhere to develop younger talent, Indian talent that can maybe reach those same heights at the winger position or at the striker position. That's India's key, I think, for the next 5 years. Is just looking for offensive talent, because defensively, like you said, I actually think they're very, very solid, and there's a lot of room there to grow. And as for Syria, man, I mean, This team is just so representative of the approach of just playing games so tight. They love that tight approach to matches. And there was a moment in this game, once they went up 1-0 and India started to push, I just felt so confident that Syria had it in the bag, because they had their whole 11 in their own half, and they just looked ready for India to come at them. Obviously, India didn't have the reinforcements to cause any danger, but Syria in that setting, man, it's one of the toughest teams to play against. When you're 1-0 down to Syria and you need a goal, one of the toughest spots to be in Asia, bro. It's a nightmare. And Syria, I think, can make a surprise in this tournament if they can just continue utilizing this tactic and executing it.
Oh, yeah. I completely underestimated Syria's ability to be so down to defend. Completely underestimated it. And going forward, I'm actually going to be excited to see their knockout game because I know they're going to keep it as tight as possible. They probably won't score, but if they can get like a goal off of a corner kick or off of some sort of set piece and it's 1-0 to Syria, then the opponent's going to find it very difficult to try to get back into the game. So I don't know. I don't necessarily like the way Syria play, but it's just so interesting since they're so good at it on the defensive end.
Match rating for this one, what do you go with?
For this one, I'm going to give it a 7.3.
7.3?
Yeah. I thought it was really entertaining, just it lacked in goals.
Yeah. I'm going to go 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Give me that 7, producer Rudd. And that seals Group B with Australia finishing in first, Uzbekistan in second, Syria in third, and India in fourth. I just want to make a note here. I've gotten these two first groups completely right in order, okay? I just want to point that out. Because you had India going third in this one.
I did, yeah. Okay? I thought that India would be a little bit more feisty offensively, but it ended up being the exact opposite. India's offense did not show up, and Syria's defense completely showed up.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Syria got through.
It was close, bro.
Credit to them.
It was close. 60 minutes in, I was like, if India gets a goal here, they're up 1-0, and your predictions are being right. So it really was that close. Yeah. Group C, we have Iran facing off against UAE and Hong Kong facing off against Palestine. Let's talk about Iran versus UAE first, with Iran winning this game 2-1. I think I counted 3 goals got nullified through VAR. And a game that I think ultimately the scoreline doesn't truly represent just how dominant Iran was in this game.
Yeah. Similar to Group B, I was actually looking at the Palestine-Hong Kong action for the most part. So I only caught glimpses of this Iran match. But yeah, I saw all of the nullified goals that Iran ended up scoring. I think they were all correct, all offside. But 2 assists from Sardar Azmoun, who got the start today, and 2 fantastic finishes from Mehdi Taremi. But yeah, when they did get those offside goals, they were so dynamic, so aggressive going forward. It's what we wanted to see, right? And then for the UAE... again, not actually surprised by this result either. They're a solid team, but when they face against, a team like Iran, I just don't back them. I don't back them to get a result like this. Yeah. So for me, 2-1 could have been worse. I think this makes sense.
Yeah, it was 1-0 at one point. UAE had a penalty to tie the game, and it literally was a penalty that was worth 2 goals because the moment they missed, minutes later, Iran goes and scores a second to make it 2-0. That penalty was the pivotal moment for me. The fact he choked, the fact he missed it, and Bienenvad, my boy, saved it, just, I think, represented the advantage Iran had in this game ultimately. Playing a lot better this game than they did against Hong Kong, in my personal opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Iran gets the victory here. They top the group with UAE finishing in second thanks to that goal they got in compensation time, which ends up giving them an advantage over Palestine in goal difference.
Yeah, it was actually a huge goal that Yahya scored because UAE wasn't crafting a lot. There was I think 13 minutes added on, and in that 3rd minute of stoppage time, Yahya just takes it upon himself on that left wing, dances a little bit, cuts inside, and scores a beautiful curler. Yeah. And it is that banger of a goal that saves UAE from a 3rd place blemish.
Yeah, man. So that they end up coming out in 2nd place. We'll see my boy Khalid in yet another round of Asian football. I'm excited, bro. I gave this game a 6.5. 6.5 match rating for me. I just didn't really have much else to
I'll join you right there, 6.5.
Right? Because my eyes were peeled elsewhere in this Hong Kong versus Palestine match. I mean, this is a historic game, bro. A historic game for Palestine, winning 3-0, bro. 3-0. Goals from Dabag with a header, goals in the second half, and then a 3rd goal off of a crazy counter. Hong Kong missed a penalty at one point with Everton hitting the top post, but Palestine proving to be a completely dominant side in this match. A massive moment for this country's footballing history, and then just a massive moment here in this stadium, in this atmosphere, for them to celebrate 3 back-to-back goals in a game where they needed to win. What a great result. What a great goal-scoring highlight reel they put together. They'll see themselves going into the round of 16 most likely with 4 points in 3rd place.
Yeah, man. Palestine started on the front foot, kind of continuing that energy that they had in the second half against the UAE when they went up a man. They brought that same vigor, that same intensity to this match against Hong Kong, and it paid dividends, bro, because They immediately scored within the first portion of the match. A beautiful cross from Batat to Dabag, who made it 1-0. And at that point, I was like, oh, okay, Palestine showed up.
Yeah.
Like, they really took this occasion to be very determined and focused to win this match. And in their opponents, Hong Kong, dude, we got the exact opposite. This team did not show up.
Yeah.
They didn't show up whatsoever. It actually got worse as the game went on. Even though it was 1-0 for a decent amount of time, Hong Kong could have gotten back into this game. They had one chance with Michael on the break. He passed it to the side, but the player ended up fluffing it. And that was pretty much it for Hong Kong. That one singular chance around the 30th minute, because Palestine dominated this game, dude. Completely dominated it. And Hong Kong they did them every single favor that they could have, because Hong Kong couldn't make simple passes. They weren't cutting out any balls on the defensive end. They were getting bullied in the box. They were second to every single 50-50. Palestine won this game, and they completely deserved it, bro. But I'm disappointed in Hong Kong because they put in so much work in those first two games, but they did not even remotely play the same way in this third match, because in the first two matches, Hong Kong started with a full press. They made sure that both the UAE and Iran had to play from the back with pressure to start the match. And this one, they let Palestine have the ball. There was no press whatsoever. And I don't know, maybe it was a coaching decision. If so, terrible move. Or maybe the players were just simply too tired, which I could understand that, because they gave everything in those first two matches. They just simply weren't even recognizable today in comparison to their previous two games. But again, all credit to Palestine, because unlike Hong Kong, they came to this game to win. And not only that, they balled out, bro. 3 goals.
Yeah, no, three beautiful goals. And I just took it as this game was a law of averages for Palestine. After the 20-plus shots they took against UAE, not being able to score an actual goal, it had to give at some point. It had to give. Yeah. And so, immediately within that first half, they were so clinical, man. They just could not miss. A ball hit the post and then just bounced back to, I think it was the Boggs path, and he just scores right away. Like, this game was destined to be Palestine's with the approach they had to it. And I agree with the criticisms of Hong Kong. I am disappointed, because I thought we would see a much more competitive, much more tight match with a lot more at stake here. Palestine ends up being the team to show up, and by just a sheer miracle, with Palestine getting this result against Hong Kong, with UAE scoring that late I once again get another group right. Iran, UAE, man. Palestine, Hong Kong. Hong Kong in last place, where I think I remember, tried to pick them as a surprise. Yeah, third place. But this game ended up deciding that spot, and Palestine ends up on top.
Yeah, congratulations to Palestine. I think this is their first time in the knockout stage, actually, in an AFC Asian Cup. So a monumental moment for Palestine. And honestly, they've had 3 really good halves in this group stage. So if they can just continue that form, I mean, they might have somewhat of a chance in the round of 16. Seriously, I'm not counting out this team. I underestimated them and their ability to be really compact defensively, but low-key, they're so direct when they go forward. I think they can get a goal against anybody. I mean, they scored against Iran.
Yeah, they did.
They have players that can be very aggressive in the box, and they have service from players like Badat, who can actually be dangerous off the cross. So I actually like this Palestine team. I really do.
I like them. And then, like I mentioned in the preview, you throw in that emotional aspect for them. I think that also adds another factor that is worth noting. So, yeah, man, Palestine goes through. Iran qualifies top of this group, and UAE gets second place. Yeah, and then to finalize and rate this match, I had it at a 6.7. 6.7. The fact that Hong Kong didn't really show up disappointed me, and if they had, I probably would have rated this much higher.
No, I was going all Hong Kong, man, so I'm going to be biased here. I gave this one a 6.3, dude, because honestly, in the first 10 minutes, I could see the energy of Hong Kong, and I was like, oh, we're done.
Damn.
We're done, dude. Yeah. And congrats to Palestine, because they took full advantage of that.
Yeah, China just not showing up to this tournament then, man.
No.
Good Lord. All right, and now let's do match previews, where we preview the games happening tomorrow in match day 13. We have nothing but Group D action on display. Iraq facing off against Vietnam, and Japan facing off against Indonesia. Now, I would like to express something specifically regarding the Japan-Indonesia game, because the Indonesians have me very, very invested in their team. And I've been keeping up with them a lot now. I've been watching their games. And as I mentioned in our last episode, I'm a fan of them now. I really do like them. But there's something that concerns me, bro. There's something that concerns me. Indonesia right now is on 3 points with a -1 goal differential. They're facing off against arguably the best team in Asia, in Japan, who just came off of a loss against Iraq and is going to come out to seek pure fire.
Right.
Looking at other third place teams and what their trajectory looks like, there's only one true third place team right now that is for sure not going to qualify, and that's China with 2 points.
Right.
Syria has 4 points. Palestine has 4 points.
Yeah.
Indonesia at 3, I reiterate. Bahrain has 3 points, but they face off against Jordan. Yes, a tough test, but a much weaker test than Japan, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then finally, Oman has 1 point right now, but they face off against the worst team in their group, Kyrgyzstan, to finish. If Oman wins and Bahrain either ties or even loses by just 1 goal or 2,
Right.
while Indonesia loses by a number of goals, Indonesia could get knocked out, bro. And I'm just saying this because I want to express I'm scared. I'm scared, bro. I'm scared because I didn't think about this until after I saw the standings and I saw how the trajectory is looking for them. I thought with the victory over Vietnam, it'd be 100% secured. It's going to get tight. It's going to get really, really tight. And I think the match against Japan is going to be so important. If they get a draw, they're in. But I think if anything, their goal should be to not get blown out. Keep it low. Keep it low scoring, and they might have a shot to qualify through.
That is exactly why I'm so curious to watch this match. How are Indonesia going to approach it? Because I agree. I think the best way to approach it is conservatively.
Yeah.
You know, don't try to be brave here like you did against Iraq. And what a game that was. Still one of my favorite games of the tournament so far. But if you're thinking about long-term success here within this cup tournament, I think you've got to approach this defensively, right? And when you get the chance to, unleash Sayuri or find Strike or Marcelino on the break, sure, take that chance. Otherwise, though, don't commit too many men forward and just keep it as tight as possible. I do think that's going to be the best approach for Indonesia for all of the reasons that you just stated. And it even gets double interesting because I'm curious to see how Japan are going to approach this, man. They only have 3 points as well. So they themselves need to just go off here. And not only that, they have the narrative of being the best team in Asia. So like anything that's not a blowout from a Japanese perspective might be considered a failure here for Japan. So that's going to be crazy to stop from an Indonesian perspective. So this is going to be a fascinating game just from the narratives.
Yeah, and if Indonesia wins, it'll be historic.
Oh, dude.
It'll be historic,
Crazy.
my friends. We got a crazy, crazy game waiting for us, and I just wanted to express that point of view. The other match is Iraq against Vietnam. And Vietnam sits on 0 points while Iraq tops this group at 6 points right now. Not much to play for here outside of the fact that Vietnam could surprise, maybe get 3 points out of this game, but then it becomes a game of goal differential and just how much they beat Iraq by. I don't see that as very likely, having seen this Vietnamese side play in this tournament. I think Iraq gets another 3 points here, bro, and they just continue this dark horse momentum and maybe even title contending momentum that they've built so far.
Yeah, I see Iraq kind of handling this game kind of like how Qatar did in their last match day. I think Iraq will take this kind of just very calmly. They'll stay their usual composed selves. They'll go out to try and beat Vietnam, but I don't think they're going to be too stressed about it. They've already secured their pathway into the next round. I think Iraq are just going to play their defensive ways, try to hit Vietnam on the counter. Vietnam had a really bad tournament, especially the last game against Indonesia. So I think Iraq will back themselves to just kind of shoo away Vietnam here.
We have an exciting Matchday 13 awaiting us. So guys, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Stay updated with The Give and Go as we continue covering this tournament. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Let's go, bro. Let's go.
Let's go.
Thank you.